What is up, everybody? My name is Justin French, current music for those who care, and right now I'm taking a look at the sophomore studio release and second studio album from alternative band Haim entitled Something to Tell You. And before I get started with this review, I actually have something to tell somebody. So a friend and classmate of mine had suggested me to do this review yesterday. So Elizabeth, if you're watching, thanks for the suggestion. Hope you enjoy. This album review is dedicated to you. So let me not waste any time into this album. Wow. I'm really late to this party, aren't I? But then again, I've been late to a lot of parties nowadays. Happens. But anyways, the first track I ever heard from Haim was the track The Wire, and whenever I first listened to it, it was like an earworm because the song is a pretty catchy and infectious tune whenever you listen to it. And I think that's what sparked my interest into listening to their debut album, Days Are Gone. And Days Are Gone is a pretty good pop album, in my opinion. Now, going from that record up to Something to Tell You, we've been waiting 4 years for another studio release from Haim to be released. This album was released on Columbia Records in the United States and probably North America, and Polydor Records everywhere else. Now, here's the thing about this record. Whenever they were doing the first sessions of recording for this record, they just weren't turning out to be the best thing and were becoming very unfruitful. Now, here's the real saving grace that kind of sparked the creative genius for this release. They were approached to do a song for the film Trainwreck, which featured Amy Schumer and Bill Hader. Bill Hader, if you've ever seen any of his stuff on SNL, he's a pretty hilarious dude in my opinion. And Amy Schumer, she's an okay comedian. I think that her new stuff really isn't turning out to be her best thing. But anyways, they were contacted to do a song for that film, and they did a song. Ultimately, this track had gotten rejected, and that's how we ended up getting one of the songs that is on the record. So, and I have to say, I'm pretty pleased with this release. It's a pretty good pop album, but it does kind of come with its problems. While most of these lyrical themes come from more love and heartbreak, which is pretty much the same thing as Days Are Gone, it just feels very repetitive in the lyrical department, especially in that second half. And I also have to say that that second half just isn't as consistent as the first. So let me give you a rundown of some of these tracks, and let me get the good out, which is the first half, before I go into the second. So the first single that we got from this release was Want You Back. And Want You Back is a pretty great tune. It's got a really good groove to it. It feels very poppy, and I love that popping bass sound that plays in the chorus. I think that's what sold me to listen more to this song, was that chorus. It's pretty infectious, honestly. The track Little of Your Love, which I was just talking about for the Trainwreck soundtrack, it's got a pretty nice 70s feel to it. It feels like 70s kind of classic rock. And I love how that track ends with a guitar fills in it. And also, there are a little hand claps, and that kind of adds a little something to that track. Nothing's Wrong has this kind of weird, funky gospel feel to it, with a little bit of the R&B feel in the vocal department. But hey, nothing's wrong about this song. It works. Now, I'm not going to lie about this tune too, because whenever I was first listening to it, I swear it sounded like I was listening to a guy singing one of the lines in the middle part. And what I think had happened was, I'm pretty sure it's just vocal modulation. They just lowered Danielle's pitch to make it kind of sound like that. But it also kind of closes on a fade, which is something I always loved about pop tunes. But that's something I also miss about pop nowadays, just because I hate how all these songs have to always end abrupt nowadays. They don't have to just fade out and continue on. They just stop. we don't really hear this style much, especially in a state like this. Ready for You has a pretty sweeping vocal delivery, and the title track had some really good lyrical writing, especially whenever she's singing I was innocent in the pre-chorus. I think that's what really struck me from that song, whenever she's just repeating that. Now, here comes the second part, and I'm not a big fan of the second part as much as I am for the first, especially on the, I believe, second to last track, which is Right Now. And that track just starts out with an organ, which I actually don't mind that. But it's really slow building up. I did find the lyrics to be stale and very repetitive. And in my opinion, I just found it boring and unmoving. And also, found it in silence. I wasn't a big fan of the string arrangement in the background. It didn't interest me at all. The track You Never Know, which is the first song from the second half of this record, kind of has a feel of Fleetwood Mac, and a lot of people have been comparing this group to Fleetwood Mac, and I can honestly see why. I think Stevie Nicks helped them with writing coaching, maybe. And the one thing that I don't really like about this track that kind of turns me off is I don't feel that the synths that run around in the background just don't fit. And that just makes the rest of the track feel a little wonky. Now, there is one song that I really like on the second half, and that is actually Kept Me Crying. And Kept Me Crying is a pretty interesting tune because this track actually has a guitar solo. No way. A guitar solo on a pop rock song? I'm just in utter and complete shock! No, actually, it's pretty good, and I like bluesy solos, so. But overall, I really did enjoy this release for the most part, except for parts of that second half. And if you're into something with an adult contemporary kind of feel with pop rock, kind of something a little like Fleetwood Mac, I think this album would be for you. Or just, if you like a band such as the XX, or Elizabeth had kind of compared this group as the female Harry Styles, which I'm not going to lie, I don't really see that much, then this album is pretty much for you. So, and I think that this album might have a little bit of a replay factor, especially in that first half. So, for me, I think the highest I could probably give it is a light 7 out of 10. So, thank you all for watching. If you would like to watch a previous video of mine, you can click right over here to watch that. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, you can click right over here to see what I'll be doing next, or just want to see another video of mine, which I have plenty of those. So, thank you all for watching this. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you soon.